Everyone, it's Paul from Alexandria Knife Sharpening, Laser Engraving. So a little intro to this particular video. This is the Collins Axe that I worked on. It was more of a kind of a restoration, refurbish kind of job. I would call this more of a refurbishing. Restorations to me are more when you're trying to make something almost as perfectly original as it was. But I want you guys to just take note of the next two videos that I'm dropping. So the one is this one on the Collins Axe, and the other one is a Puma White Hunter knife that I worked on. And if you're going to get into doing this style of work, just know that this stuff can be fairly time consuming. Now, for me, this is my favorite stuff. This is what I wish I could work on these kind of things all day long. As opposed to just general knife sharpening, doing kitchen knives and that kind of stuff. But the kitchen knives and all that easy stuff is where I make the majority of my money. These are more of the projects I'm a little more passionate about and really enjoy working on. And this particular axe, I think I misspoke in the video. And I thought it was an uncle's axe. I believe it's for a grandfather, and they're giving it to another family member. We engraved the person's initials on it, and we tried to keep it as very close to original as we possibly could. So just know that these next two videos, kind of a different category than just the normal someone bringing in kitchen knives to be sharpened. This is a whole nother area that you can go into if you start doing sharpening stuff. But my warning there is just, you really have to assess for your time, what it's going to take, what it's going to cost. And these jobs are far more time consuming, but for me, they're also more enjoyable. So I take that into consideration when I do the pricing of those things. There's been jobs that I knew, like hours wise, were gonna cost more than I even wanted to charge a person, but I wanted the particular work. And there's nothing wrong with that. If it's a job you really want to do, or it's something maybe you never worked on a particular style of knife or thing before, you have to take that into consideration too when you're pricing things, because it is easy to price someone right out the door of your shop, which I never want to do. I try and make things very affordable, and I try and make them, but I also try and make it worth my time too. So you have to keep that balance of things when you're doing these style jobs. So that's it. Here's the Collins axe. Like I said, it's not everything of this refurbishing job, because I had this axe for quite some time. I even ordered, like you'll see, I ordered a sticker for it and just different things, but wanted to show that to you and just wanted to get your head thinking about, if you're going to do these kinds of jobs, start thinking about your pricing and your time. And I know a lot of you guys out there are part-time doing this. Do you even have the time to take on this kind of work? So think about that before you jump into restoration work or restoring work or whatever you want to call it. Think about your time. It's very important. Hey everyone, it's Paul from Alexandria Knife Sharpening. So I just wanted to update you guys on the old Collins axe that came in and give you a little bit of the story there. I am finished it. I'm going to show you the finished thing, and I'm just going to point out a few things. I've filmed so many things lately. I actually lost some of the footage of certain parts of that, but there was just a couple things I really wanted to point out kind of quick, because I'm sure there's plenty of you that might want to do this or might need to replace an axe handle for somebody one day. And there's a couple like interesting things that you need to know about replacing axe handles. So first thing, this was the original axe handle that came in, and they brought this in to be sharpened. And the first thing I noticed, it had a huge crack in it. Like, can you guys see that crack there? So it goes all the way down. So I told him I didn't feel comfortable with repairing this, and that it would be best to get a new handle, but that I would be happy to do that work for him. And I didn't hear from him for a couple months. So he left, and then all of a sudden he came back and he said, "Hey, I finally found the handle, and I'd like you to redo that axe for me." So he came back in and he brought in a handle, and it was a nice handle, but it had a really ugly finish on it. It was very shiny and even a little bit rough. It definitely wasn't like a linseed oil style of finish. It was probably more of like a polyurethane or a varnish type of thing. Very shiny and glossy, and it just felt terrible. We decided we would take that completely off, replace it with a what we did was Danish oil, which is just linseed oil that dries faster, basically. He wanted it engraved. It was completely rusty. We de-rusted it, but he liked the old look to it. He didn't want it like completely, polished. He didn't want it to look like a fireman's memorial axe and mirrored and everything. So we left the original sticker. We didn't take that off. I did source a Collins axe sticker for him, so I added that to the other side. And I'll just kind of scan down here, show you the whole axe handle. So it looks real nice, but here's what I wanted to show you. So a big mistake that people make replacing a handle like this, especially when this one came, this part in here was oversized. It was too big. It wouldn't just slide on. So I had to shape this. So I shaped it. I had to cut it down a good bit. I used a one of these things. I used a cut saw rotary tool on my Fordham, and this thing will really, you can like literally carve wood with these, and that's what I used to shape this to get it roughly the right size to fit in there. It was still going to be very snug, but I shaped it with that cut saw bit. And then what you do is you get it started on top. You're going to have to tap it a little bit, but a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that you seat an axe head by banging on the metal top, and you'll often see axes that are all beat to heck up here because someone's banging on it. And it's the total opposite of what you do. You actually seat an axe handle from the bottom of the handle. So once you have it on there a little bit, and this is what I used. You can, some people use wood mallet, whatever. This is a, what do they call these? This is a dead blow hammer. It's got lead weights in there, but it's a plastic handle. And you can probably hear that weight in there. And what you do is you hit it like this. So you hold it off of the ground and you bang it right here hard on the base of the handle, and you bang 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 for a long period of time, and the axe starts to seat itself on here. And once you have it nice and snug, then there's different schools of this. You will see axes where some people leave some of the wood out, some people cut it flush. I liked it flush, so I cut this one flush. Then I seated 2 wedges inside, and then after I did the 2 wedges, I did a horizontal wedge through one back here. I didn't have one small enough to go through up front, but I could put one up here. I don't think this one needs it at all. It's very tight, but sometimes you'll see people put 2 wedges in that way, and I've seen it where there's none. And, often sometimes people put no horizontal wedge, but this kind of basically what you're doing. So you put the wedge in and it squeezes out that way. You put the horizontal wedge, it squeezes front and back, and you're locking that handle in all directions. So I just wanted to show you that. One other thing that I did do that I forgot to tell you guys about is I did put a small amount of wood glue on the wood wedges. So it made it easier to bang them in because it kind of lubricated them, but then it also locks that wedge into place really well when that wood glue dries. Here is the genuine Collins hickory we kind of replicated there for the handle and the initials. And this is done. It's going to go back to my customer. But I just wanted to show you that. And I wanted to show you that about the axe handles, or the seating and axe handle. Don't bang on the top. It's done actually from the handle side. The other thing I would say too is do make sure you use something that's soft, because you can see here, so it did make some marks, but you can see it's beautiful. It's not all dented up and banged up. It looks good. And you can even see from the original one, when it was getting loose, someone probably knew to that you're supposed to hit the handle side, but you can see, look, they chipped off a big section here. So you do want to use something that is soft too. So if you take like a regular hammer to it, or something that's a little too hard, you can either dent this all up or split the wood. All right, so that's it for that. Those are my couple tips for axes. And if you forget it, you can easily find it on YouTube. There's plenty of videos of guys that do a lot of axes and work with axes that will teach you and show you the proper ways to seat the axe head. All right, have a great day, everybody. Okay, so a couple more final thoughts on this just before we close out. And this is for the guys out there that are looking at doing sharpening businesses. Keep in mind, if you're going to take on work similar to this, which is what I put in the refurbishing or restoration work, this is where it's good to have an hourly rate. And in the beginning, it might be a little tough for you to know exactly how long something like this is going to take. And just to give you some ideas, just seating that axe handle, the pounding on it to get it to go in, and the cutting it back with and shaving it with my Fordham tool, that took a half hour. Derusting this thing, putting it into a sonic cleaner, that was actually over a couple days. But keep in mind, I was able to do other work while that was going on. Sharpening it didn't take very long at all. But these are things that you're going to have to keep in mind if you're going to take on this style of work. So this is not just a quick $15 or $20 axe sharpening job. This was $81 is what I charged the person for this, which I think is very appropriate for what we did here with the engravings and restoring and putting the new handle on. But just wanted you guys to keep that in mind, because it will be probably difficult as you start taking on work like this. It's one of the harder things is to know how to price it. And you also have to be careful, not to overprice or price something out so that you don't get the work, because sometimes, and there's been many things that I have worked on that I've put more hours into than I charged the person for. And this one was probably much closer to 2 hours of full-time work, but I only charged them for 1 hour, and then my normal price for engraving and sharpening. So that's just something to kind of wrap your head around and keep in mind as you take on more complicated jobs in the restoration and refurbishing work area. All right, guys, and I will leave links, as always, to the things that I used in this video in the video, and I'll probably do. I'm really liking that new Amazon page that Amazon gave me, and I'll probably do a link to this item in there too, with to make it nice and easy to find everything.